putting the spotlight on small businesses across America. This is Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. How you doing this morning, Gary?
I'm as red as a tomato.
Yeah, you
I got too much sun yesterday.
You got a little bit of sun.
I did. Yes, I'm still shiny in the forehead, but I am hot. So I'm hot. How are you?
I'm good and not sunburned. So yeah, I'm even better than you.
Smart man.
That's
I use sunscreen, but apparently you should reapply within a 6-hour period.
I'm so lucky. Sunburns like soak in to my skin and disappear within a day.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
two.
when I was young, I would tan well really all the time. And if I put lotion on it, I'll turn into a tan and not burn. But
see, like my daughter, as soon as she burns, man, she's roached for a week.
That's it.
It's bad.
Oof.
It's bad.
I was showing houses a while back, and the guy I was showing homes to, I'm like, man, I go, gosh, you are really red in the face. Are you okay? And then she shared an illness she has that she really shouldn't be in the sun. And I'm like, well, I have an umbrella in my car because you're walking around outside.
Yeah,
and, it's like crazy. But yeah,
you should be dressed like the Elephant Man or something, right?
Right. Exactly.
Have a little square over your eye so you can. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. What am I talking about? Well, hey, our guest today is Carter Krei with ActionCOACH. How you doing, Carter?
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Fantastic.
Good.
Long drive. He had to come all the way down to the Lincoln studio, and you're in Sioux City.
Yep. A lot of podcast time.
That's right. What's your go-to podcast?
Ugh.
See, that wasn't on the question.
It wasn't on the
sheet,
question.
was it?
I'm a sports guy, so I'm kind of getting ready for World Cup stuff.
Okay.
Watching some Colin Cowherd with that, and I don't know.
There you go. The herd.
The herd.
The herd.
Is that a drinking thing? World Cup? What is that?
It should be.
For a lot of people.
I know. It's racquetball. I know.
Well, Carter's with ActionCOACH. And we've actually had a coach from ActionCOACH for a long time in our business. And so talk to us just a little bit. Give us that nice 30,000-foot view about ActionCOACH and how you got started in it.
Yeah, so ActionCOACH is all about helping business owners grow and scale their businesses. We work with the business owners, not the business. And it's a lot of fun. I started with my background's in human resources, psychology, process redesign stuff. But I found it so much more fun to work with business owners. And so, we go into their business every week and we ask them how we can improve the business. And we work on things like profit margin and revenue and the stuff that a lot of people find boring, but I really like. And systemizing a business so it works so you don't have to.
Yeah. And having a coach, my gosh, it is so important. We were talking about this earlier. There's so many people who, when you hang out your shingle, you think, I don't need a coach. And then you kind of get into it for a little while into the business. And then you're like, oh gosh, should I hire a coach? And there's a lot of people almost like it's this, I don't need a coach, and they refuse to hire a coach. And
I was thinking about that the last time we interviewed somebody that did coaching.
Yeah.
And a coach saved my business in 95. I'd been in business for, I don't know, a long time at that point. And it was a coach that definitely saved my life. But I can tell you I was thinking about this. I left and I'm like, why don't people just you have a good doctor, you have a good lawyer, you have, a good accountant, hopefully all those things. Mm-hmm. Why not a good coach? Mm-hmm. And for me, the reason I didn't always earlier is I always thought it would cost a ton. Mm. And I never got as far in an interview or talking to a coach to find out what it would cost. But what I spent on my coach was worth, I would have paid her 10 times more. She's retired now, so I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
She can't invoice me anymore.
Yeah. The thing I see most often is people don't realize they need a coach. They think the problems that they're dealing with are regular. It's what's supposed to happen when you start a business, right? Yeah. You hear all those bad stats.
I did that too. Yeah, I felt that. Yeah.
And so you don't realize that there are resources out there to help you. There are solutions to the problems that you don't even know you have. And so oftentimes we keep going through the problems that we're in thinking, yep, this is what being a business owner is like. It doesn't have to be. It can be way easier. It can be way smoother. And the solutions are out there if you're willing to look. And like you said, a lot of people think coaching has to be expensive. We'll meet with any client for free. We just want to help business owners grow and scale their business.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important because it's easy to get isolated so quick. We've talked about this all the time. A lot of the people that we interview in business will allude to that somewhere when we're talking about isolation can become so easy. So, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're all alone.
Yeah, you get into the thick of it and it's hard to get out. But I always attribute it as, look at any professional sports team. Do they have coaches?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. And they're probably the most important person on that team because they're the one that's holding everything together. Yeah. And I mean, a business owner and a coach, I mean, there's team owners and there's coaches, but it's very similar, but obviously different outcomes, or same outcome, different industry.
Yeah. And when you look at it, it's actually the better the athlete, the more coaches they have.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods had a ton of coaches. Kobe Bryant had a ton of coaches. It's not only for the people that are struggling, it's for the ones who want to optimize what they're doing. It's another thing we run into quite a bit, is the idea that I don't need a coach. There's people way worse than me.
Do you see a lot of people who are on the other side of it going like they're afraid to ask for the help?
Yeah. I think that's pretty common. I think oftentimes they're afraid to ask for help because they're afraid that once they know what they have to do to succeed, they're kind of liable to do it, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's easy to sit there in your problem and think, maybe I just have to work harder and I can just do more of what I'm doing. It's harder to take a step back and say, well, maybe there's something I'm not doing. Maybe I have to go and learn something. Maybe I have to improve. That can be a lot more, I guess, daunting for some people.
The accountability, when we hired our first coach, the accountability was probably the best and the worst part of it, because he came in and it was Ed, and Ed would come in and he would tell us exactly what we needed to do. And he would almost give us hey, I'm going to be back next Friday or whatever it was, and say, I want an update on this, this, and this. And then just like college, right? Thursday night, you're working to do it's like, oh man, it's going to kick my backside.
And I was in that same boat because Tam and Happy always had, same with me. It was like, these are the steps that need to be done. I want to see your progress. Let me know what it is. And ironically, sometimes on that night before, I'd be like, oh my gosh. And then I'd go, oh, I did get that done. It's kind of like when you make a to-do list, but then you don't look at it. You like accidentally or purposely get some of those things done during the day, because you've just written them down or know you need to do them. One thing that was real beneficial for me, and I think would be if there's anybody out there listening right now that has a business and is thinking about hiring a coach. One thing that I found very quickly, and at first it was kind of a little shocking, I guess, a little bit, but she was able to say things to me that none of the people on my team working with me would ever say, because they weren't easy to hear.
Yeah.
And
you need that.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, it was life-changing for me. A lot of the practices she taught me, I still do today. So
yeah, I think what I've seen is a lot of times people expect their spouse to give them that feedback, that they're the one who tell me the stuff I can't hear. What I found is the spouse is only responsible for helping you. So most of the time they'll tell you, avoid the situation. It brings stress into our marriage, into our relationship. You have to have an outside third party who can come in and look at it objectively. And that's why I clarified, we don't work with businesses. We work with business owners.
Yeah.
My best clients are onto their third or fourth business now. They haven't hired me for the last 3. We teach them how to do it in the skill set on the first one. We teach them how to do that thinking process. One of my favorite moments is I had a client who had to miss a session because I think his wife was having a baby, which is a good reason to miss a session.
Excuse.
I think you're a tougher coach than me.
That's true. Don't listen to him.
I won't.
Look this way. Okay, there you go.
I haven't. He brought his notebook with all the questions. He goes, I just wrote down the question I thought you would ask me, and then I wrote the answer out. And at that point, it was, okay, I think we're done coaching. You get it.
Yeah.
You can go on without me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Another thing that, and we haven't talked about this before when we've had coaches either, is that I worked with her for a year and it was kind of like, okay, you're ready to go. But we touch base the first year every quarter and a year after that twice. But we'd become friends too. But I mean, we specifically had meetings to see how things were going. So I liked that too, because it added a little bit of continuity and consistency, making sure I was doing the things I needed to do.
Yeah. And I'm a big reader. My goal is to read a business book a week. And I kind of try to instill that in all my clients. And so him and we still text back and forth. Have you read this book, or check out this one? And how's that helping us grow our businesses? So it's really cool to stay in touch and see them succeed beyond yourself.
Yeah, there's medication for that though. If no one's ever told you, I'll tell you the hard stuff.
Yeah,
so if you read too much, I wish I could do that. I am reading more now at the age I am now than I have my entire life. And one thing though was the crutch of when social media came around and all the apps you can do, like I'm trying to think of the one I used, Blinkist.
Yeah.
I used that for a while and really loved it because it just kind of gave you the gist of the book, but it wasn't reading the book.
Sure.
You know, and it's so different. So
It's
I
kinda
actually
like-
have 2 library books checked out right now.
Like Cliff's Notes.
They're up
Is
there.
that kind of what it is?
Yes,
Kind of like
it
just gives you the 30,000 foot view.
Yep. And you can listen to it. So you can listen in your car. It's like 15 minutes, tells you the whole book.
I love
Supposedly.
audiobooks. Audiobooks are awesome now.
Depends who reads it, who's reading it.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
As long as you're learning, as long as there's something you can
Yeah,
do, even if you get it from the 15-minute Blinkist version, as long as it's something you can apply in your business to improve you and the lives you're creating, good. I'm not going to, look down on anything like that.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you get the author that reads his own book, and you think, "Oh, I'm going to get some good insight," and then it's like, "Oh my gosh, this pimply voice! I can't."
That was my problem with it. When I subscribed, I'd be like, I really want to, read this book, and I'd try to get to the 1st chapter, and it's just like, oh man, you wrote the book, you should have left it there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Anyway, I'd
they
listen
need
to
a business coach. They
I
needed
would-
someone to say your voice is terrible.
I'd listen to any book that Morgan Freeman would read to me. Any day.
Yeah, he could read the phone book. I'm in. I love it.
it.
All right. Well, we have a break coming up here, so let's run to that real quick. Travis File and Gary Tharnish, you're listening to Inside Business. We're talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about coaching and why you need one.
Filing and Gary Tharnish.
We're back on Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. You're listening to Inside Business. We're talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach. Something I want to start talking about is I think business owners have a tough time of knowing when it's time to call in for help.
Sure.
Is there a common problem or things people should be looking for?
Yeah. I mean, what I see most often is business owners will get to a point where they'll stop growing how they've wanted to use like the trades, for example. I see when they get to that 3rd generation, it's kind of make or break. And they'll get all those changes that they planned on implementing when they took over and then kind of plateau. And they think, well, the answer is to work harder. So they try working harder and it doesn't improve. So they try working harder. Once you've tried working harder and it didn't get you the results you wanted, maybe it's time to bring in someone else with a different perspective. That's one of the first things we see.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, I wish I would have brought my coach in 9 years earlier, like when I opened the business.
Right.
I mean, it would have been incredible. But yeah, there's signs. I mean, that's the tough thing, right? Because if you're isolating yourself, it's hard to even, sometimes you just have those blinders on, or a racehorse, and you're just, I'm going to rhino to the end of this somehow. That's really the hard part of it. I mean, for me, it took going out in the middle of our design room and going, all right, stop everybody. What's going on here? Making all these other, and this like woman that was twice my age, because I was a little whippersnapper at the time. I'm still a jerk. But anyway, she comes over and grabs me by the ear, literally in front of me, and takes me in the office, sits me down. She goes, "You're the problem." I'm like, "Oh, I'm the problem."
It's me.
But it was true. But I was blind to it.
Yeah, we need more people like that in businesses.
That is
that can
our
do
thing.
that.
Women that can come pull your ear and pull you in the office.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Earlier, I said your team members are never going to tell you. And in that case, she did.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, another place we see it often is when you start to lose the passion for the work you're doing.
Yeah.
That happens kind of often. We see people get to this goal that they had originally, whether they'll set it pretty broad, right? Like start the business, get to a certain size, and then they plateau and they just stop kind of caring. And what we see is that you didn't set your goal high enough. You didn't set a far enough in advance goal that you can push yourself through these hard times. So what happens is things get tough and you just take your foot off the gas because, well, I got a business, I have money coming in, it pays the bills. That's like the most dangerous place to be as a business owner because one thing changes. Now you're not paying the bills, but you don't have the momentum to grow out of it.
Yeah. The desire, the momentum, anything. It's the woe is me.
Yeah.
It's really easy to run into it at that point for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Things like that. Things like your marketing's not getting you the results that you want. Things like your costs keep going up, but your revenue's staying the same. So your profits start decreasing, or maybe your revenue's increasing, but costs are increasing even faster. Those are all signs that something's going on beneath the surface that we can come in and just take a quick glance at and just try and find a path forward for you.
Yeah.
And I have a friend of mine, I was talking with him, and he's been in business about 20 some odd years, about as long as I have. And he goes, gosh, I really just thought I wouldn't be like doing what I'm doing within the business. I really figured I would be moving up and have more people under me accomplishing, and he still has to do the nuts and bolts work. And I've been there. Heck, I'm there now. And it's very frustrating. But at the same time, it's like you need somebody to help you offload that work.
Yeah, it's also identifying where do you start offloading that work? Because oftentimes you'll start with the things that's most annoying, not the thing that takes the most of your time or the thing that would move you the farthest forward if you got rid of it. You start with the thing that bothers you the most, which isn't a bad place to start, but maybe there's a better place. You know, another one is people who want to sell their business. I had someone come to me and say, "Hey, I want to sell my business next month. Can you help me?"
Next month.
Not much.
Not unless it's really cheap.
Yeah. If you want to sell your business, we need to be looking 3 to 5 years out.
Yeah.
If you really want to maximize return.
Yeah.
So if you're planning on exiting the business the next 3 to 5 years, you should probably get with a coach and just get a once over to just take a look at it.
And we had actually brought on Action Coach. This was, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And one of the first things they did was evaluate what our business is actually worth and started getting us. We weren't even thinking about selling the business, but we did have an employee that had an interest in taking over the business. And it's like, okay, well, we kind of started down that road. And it was it was really therapeutic because it's like, wow, our business is really worth that, because I had no idea.
Yeah.
You don't kind of get those blinders on, you get your head down and you're just chopping wood, and you have no idea what you've built because you haven't taken time to look at it.
Exactly. And one of the biggest factors in how much it's going to sell for is whether or not it's dependent on the owner. You know, no one really wants to buy a job unless you're selling to an employee.
Right.
But if you're the kind of owner that wants to sell for a multiple, but you're still doing day-to-day work in your business, you're not going to get the return you think you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think something that if there's a business owner out there that's handing off to the next generation, you have to have a coach.
Yeah.
Because the things that a friend of mine, he actually just sold his business, and he and I were talking, and I go, wow, your kids don't want this business? And he goes, never asked them. Because he didn't mean it mean,
Sure.
Even though that sounds very, very mean. His thought was, you know what, if I hand it off to my kids, I'm never going to retire, because I'm always there. I'm always, hey, Dad, how did you do this? Or how did you do that? Yeah. And it's like, don't they have coaches that could
help with that?
Yeah.
Family succession of a business, it has its own set of dangers and challenges.
It does.
It really does, compared to handing it off to someone else that's not family. That's a whole nother, what do they say with wealth? Like, you know, if you're uber wealthy, your kids, and they take over the business, your kids will do okay. But by the time it gets to your grandkids, then by the time they're 40, the business is lost.
Well, they never remembered the hard times.
Right.
You know, they never remembered the work until midnight and the not much food and all the hard times. So that third generation, it was just always good times.
Yeah. We work with a lot of third generation businesses for that reason. The first generation went through all that pain. The second generation saw it and says, I'm never doing that. But the third generation just sees a pile of money. And so we often say the business is just a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the owner. So the problems that it has are what you brought into it. You can eliminate those just as easily as you brought them in. Yeah. And you can give them something that'll actually create a life for them that you've dreamed ever since they were younger.
You just described the change I had to make to get that lady's hands off my ear. Exactly. I love her to death. I shouldn't, God rest her soul. But I mean, it was really a good thing. You know, your original question, when you think about that, like, how does somebody know when to hire a coach? I would say if there's any way, if you feel like a rut's coming, that's when. Don't get into the rut and hang out there for a long time before you get a coach. The other thing I would say is, why wait till you think you need one? Try one out. Right. I mean, for me, I hired a coach by referral. Obviously, I was in a networking group and it was referred to me. And when she first came in, she goes, we're not going to talk money or any of that. She goes, we're just going to talk, you know, and I really appreciated that. And then in listening to her, just the questions she asked and the way she used her words and her professionalism, the way it just got me thinking, I'm like, oh, like, can you start tomorrow?
Yeah, right.
Sign me up.
Well, I kind of think we were talking with, I think it was Mark Nelson from CFO Systems.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, you know, when you desperately need a loan, that's not the time to start going to the bank and building a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah. Like, get a coach before you're in the rut.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's coming. The ebbs and flows of business.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Another common denominator we've had in doing this show with different business people from all aspects of business has often been that it's it's hard to see your business when you're in it here every day.
Mhm.
You're in it, you're working it, you're in the center of it. It's just hard to be out here and look in and go. And a coach, that's exactly what they can do. They can walk in and see from the outside looking in. So your inner perception is going to be one thing. And for me, the outer perception was just the opposite. It was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought we were great at service. We sucked. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Do you do much coaching with other than business owners, like leaders and CEOs, CFOs, things like that?
Yeah. So we do executive coaching. We coach like executive boards. We coach CEOs, all those things. One of the things that we specialize in is actually my mother and I run this business together. And so she comes in for those multi-generational businesses. She'll coach the parents and I'll coach the kid.
Oh, that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah. And so I
That makes
help
sense.
them build the skill set that it's going to take to run it and understand the
Sure.
perspective while she helps them hand stuff off. She does a lot of work with a ton of the boards and the executives and the CEOs. So yeah, we'll help anyone who wants to grow in their career. That's who we want to talk with.
Sure. Exactly.
And I've actually been to your mom's seminars before, and she does a great job. She really does.
I'll keep her.
And
well, you better.
and you guys are now you're in Lincoln, Omaha. You started in Sioux City.
Sioux City, yeah.
And then you're also a couple other places in
Yeah.
Iowa, right?
We're in the Lakes area up in Okoboji. We're in the Quad Cities. We can take a client pretty much anywhere. But that's where we really want to focus. Our goal is to bring business into this area. So yeah, pretty much all across Iowa and Nebraska, we'll take a client.
Fantastic. Well, I hear the music coming on here, so we got to run to a break. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish talking with Carter Krei from ActionCOACH. And when we come back, it's 5 takeaways time. So stick around.
Filing and Gary Tharnish.
We're back on Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Carter Krei from ActionCOACH. We're talking coaching. We're talking building business. That's kind of what we do every Saturday. We
Right.
should almost have a radio show talking about business.
We could do that. Yeah.
Like maybe do it
Yeah.
every Saturday morning.
Yeah,
we
should
could
try
do it
that.
in Lincoln
It's a
or
good
Omaha.
idea.
and-
Yeah. Grand
Yeah.
Island, Kearney,
There we go.
wherever. All right, cool.
Well, it's 5 takeaways time. So this is where we hand off 5 pieces of advice to business owners. And what is that first piece of advice that you would hand off to a business owner that's listening right now?
Yeah, I think probably the number one thing you have to do as a business owner is realize that you need to work on your business at least, 10% of the week. Like, it's important to treat your business as your number one client. You need to spend time building out your business instead of only working on your clients. So work on your business, not in your business.
And that's tough. I mean, it's almost, you hear it all the time. It's almost become cliche,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's good advice.
Yeah, we keep saying it because it keeps working.
Yes.
It's
Right.
critical. I always use the example of you're on an old time ship and you have to shovel coal in order to get the ship to move forward. Someone has to be at the wheel. You got to avoid the iceberg. And so it's, for every $1 million of revenue you want to do, you have to generate $481 an hour. That's just the math of it. And so if you are the business owner who's responsible for doing that, you need to make sure you're doing work that's worth that much.
Yeah.
Doing the small day-to-day stuff that you could pay someone minimum wage to do, it's important stuff, and the business has to have it done. But if you're the one doing it, who's doing the high value work that's moving the business forward?
So the books out there, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
you can write one that says, don't do the small stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because that's where I found myself in. I was just bogged down getting stuff done. It's like we were swapped today, nobody mopped the floor, and it's terrible if you don't in a flower shop. I mean, there's this crap everywhere. So I would find myself staying afterwards doing that. It's kind of like, what am I doing here? No wonder I got discouraged and in a rut. And, I'm textbook of that. And a lot of business owners are. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that if they really, really, look inward and think about it, they're in that same type of boat. I also love, though, that you just said work at least 10% of a week on your business. So it isn't like you have to hop in and change everything you're doing from day one. You can work into this slowly, which was another thing that coaching was very helpful with me for, where I didn't feel like, okay, I've got to change everything on day one, because that would have been very difficult for me.
Right.
And one of the things I learned was, because my business was a design business, I was like designing the majority of the stuff because people wanted the designs I did. And it wasn't until I realized, well, my coach goes like, do you like what she's making over there? I'm like, yeah, that's really, really cool. She goes, great. Would you have made it that way? Well, I might have done. She goes, you might have done it 20% different, but somebody might like hers better than yours anyway. So stop it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just changed everything. But that was the goal. I just got there slowly. So I think if you're listening and you think like, I don't want to have a coach because they're going to tell me I got to work on my business when who's going to get the daily stuff done. You don't have to do it all right away.
Yeah. I always recommend, like, look at your calendar. What hour of the day are you most productive? We all have that time. Like for me, I have a lot of kids. It's between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m.
How many kids do you have?
I have 5 kids.
5 kids. Awesome.
I have 5 kids.
And no gray hair.
Well,
and now you look like you're 30. Did you start having kids when you were 10 or what?
Yeah.
That's awesome though. Great.
That's why I drive down to Lincoln. But between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m., that's when I'm working on my business. I take my most productive hour and I spend it on my business. The rest of the time, I'm going to be doing the small stuff. I'm going to be mopping the floors. I'm going to be doing the design work. But I'm going to take that most productive hour and treat it like it's my top client walking into the office. My phone is not going to distract me, just like I wouldn't if it was my best client. No one's going to come in. I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not going to go make my kids breakfast or whatever it is. Like I wouldn't if I was with my top client. That's how I treat working on the business. And it's 1 hour a day. Yeah. Just 1 hour a day. You can make massive progress.
And I love that you know, like Gary said, I love that you've made it just 10%.
Yeah.
Because I've heard so many people go, you need to work in your business, you know, work on your business. Well, that's all nice and sweet, but sooner or later, this has to get done.
Yeah. Now, hang on, Travis. That's work-life balance. I know you love the work-life balance. He does not, Carter. Just a heads up on that one. But, you know, I have a morning routine, and it's changed over the years, obviously, which I think also is very important. It was different when the kids were at home. Now it's very different than it used to be. And like I just downloaded this app. I got to tell you about it, Travis. I won't be able to tonight, but or today. But I tell you what, this is helping me with my speaking. And I've done a lot of public speaking. I've did that in all over the nation in the floral industry, and you know, had to take a lot of lessons in order to do that. But now I'm in a different world. And it's different things that I'm talking about. And I'm doing this app and it's great. It's really like, I mean, you have to look at this app and it's like, well, you got a 45 on that. I thought it was great, you know, but anyway, it's my type of little personal coaching for me that I do now in the mornings as part of my routine. And I also, one of the things I do in the mornings now is I take 15 minutes just to do me. If I want to sit around, if I want to just have a second cup of coffee, if I want to just go for a short walk, whatever, I don't really plan that everything, but I have that hour, which is focus. I've been doing that ever since I had my coach in 95. It's made a huge difference in my life.
It's huge.
Interesting. Well, what's that second piece of advice you want to hand off to our listeners?
Yeah, I can't stress the importance of systems enough. My background's Lean Six Sigma process redesign, right? So every time something goes wrong in a business, we always want to blame someone. We always want to put someone on the hot seat and tell them to do better. It's probably a system that broke. It's not a person. And so if you can build out your business to operate off of just the systems, that allows people to have bad days. I had it once where I was doing a seminar. I do a lot of public speaking as well. And they put me up in front of everyone. And then they shone 2 spotlights in my face and turned the lights off everywhere else. And I couldn't see the crowd. And I completely flopped. Right. And I found out.
I get that.
Yeah. It was my slide deck got me a client out of that. Not because I was good, but because my system was. Right. And I realized,
bingo.
At that point, I figured out it's when you have a system, you let people be human instead of having to be superheroes all the time.
And I think it's never been easier to start building systems just with, I'm not saying AI can build your system, because AI gave me 3 nostrils on a photograph the other day.
I get that.
But but you can get 70% of the work done through AI. And then you can have a coach, you can have whatever you want to try and help you take it across the finish line and make it effective.
Yeah, people way overcomplicate systems. The best system, the number one system I always recommend for a business. Everyone always asks me what software, what format. The number one thing you need to do is pick one you will actually use. That's more important than anything else. Whether it's a checklist or sticky notes, they're all systems. Put something in place that makes the work outside of your brain so someone else can do it.
Yeah.
Do you do personality strength testing?
Yeah, we do DISC assessments.
DISC. Okay, I didn't do DISC. I did a different one, but that was life-changing for me.
Oh, yeah.
Where I realized, I'm not supposed to like systems. And Debbie can do that. And she did, and she took it over, and it was great.
Yeah.
But that was huge. I think that's important as well, because I think I know for sure I was trying to do all the things that I'm not good at, I don't care to be good at, I don't like, and tried to get better at, and made everything worse.
I have a client just like that. What we did is we had him get the AI glasses, the Meta glasses, hit the record button, and hire a VA to go through the footage.
Okay, what?
Yeah, you just record.
What is it?
It's the glasses with the camera on it that'll record everything you're doing.
Oh.
So I had him do that and just talk about what he was doing while he did it and send it to a VA who would then go through and systemize it.
What's a VA?
Virtual assistant.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All I see is the what was the Naked Gun when he goes into the bathroom with the microphone on. That's all. So you got to turn your glasses off when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay,
Make
That's
sure you
all
do
I'm
that.
thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I get a little sidetracked.
Poor virtual assistant.
That's
Oh,
right.
my favorite is when you're at a convention and the speaker goes into the bathroom or something afterwards and their mic is still on,
Yeah.
you know, and they walk in the bathroom like, well, that was a tough crowd.
Yeah. Don't put that in the process, but the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Keep that out. I love it.
Well, let's move on to that third piece of advice. What's that third piece of advice?
So when I'm working with the larger businesses, I'll run into this as they're scaling. They start thinking that culture should be organic, which it does grow that way,
Mhm.
right? I mean, culture can be organic, but it should also be cultivated, right? Because culture is growing whether you intend it to or not. And so it's a question of, are you doing it intentionally or are you letting it develop without you? And if you let it grow without you, you also own the consequences of that.
Mhm.
So let it grow. That's perfectly fine. But make sure you're cultivating it in a way that you'll be happy with the end result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like gardening. I mean,
Yeah.
organic food's great, but if you don't cultivate the soil and you don't tend to it and take care of it, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense. Yeah. I had a horrible culture before I had my coach because I just kind of let it develop because I
You
didn't
just
think
let
at
it
all
go.
about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That was part of the problem.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And culture starts with the owner. Sorry to have
No.
to tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Like everything
Yeah.
trickles down
I know,
from
I'm
you.
still
Yeah.
learning, Carter.
Yeah. Everything
But you're
that-
yeah, so true.
Yeah, everything
And-
that happens in your business is your fault, good or bad.
Yeah.
And so it's making sure that you can live with the results of that, right? If you don't like
Yeah.
it, that's perfectly fine. You have the total authority to change it.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
And for me at that time, and probably a lot of our listeners right now too, is that when you're in the thick of it and you're in that rut and everything, we don't even what you just said, it isn't even crossing your mind.
Mhm.
It's just you get into that horrible, it's everything's just happening right here and you can't even think beyond it.
Yeah.
And so that was really good. I think one of the biggest things I learned, and if you're thinking of getting a coach, the thing that benefited me most is I became a lot better at the things I do well
Mhm.
and handed off everything I
Mhm.
didn't do well, and
Yeah.
it changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it made growth much easier. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's Marcus Buckingham has a lot to say about that. I think he wrote Trombone Players Wanted, but he also had another book called 9 Lies About Work, where it talks about company culture doesn't actually matter. People don't care what company they work for. They care what team they're on, because work happens at the team level. And I think there's some truth to that. I think culture is still important, but you have to make sure that when you're building culture, you build it down to that individual work level. Where how does it actually implement? I think we see this way too often with large organizations where they'll come out with some culture directive that doesn't make it down to the front line and we just wait for it to pass, right? It's how do you get that into the front line?
I can't tell you how many times I've gone through that in the years.
Right.
Just-
It's
it's like somebody up in a
maddening.
corner office read fish.
Yeah.
And now we're all gonna fall in line with fish. It's like, dude, this is a radio station. We can't fire commercials around it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
weird.
Right.
It's weird.
I was just talking to a friend this morning and I said, yeah, we're getting new software at work again, a new CRM, whatever. And I'm like, that's the thing. It's the first time in my life I'm working for a corporation.
Mhm.
I had my own business for, the first 45 years of my business career. I know I look like I'm 12. And anyway, so I'm like, you kind of don't have that control over it or anything, right? It's just
Right.
coming out. And I was chatting to her and I go, my biggest hope is that whoever designed that software was actually a realtor out in the field at some point in their
Yeah.
life, or they had someone in the room that was, because I've had software come at me before where you look at it. Actually, the one we're getting rid of that they brought 2 years ago is a perfect example of I'm working in this CRM going, nobody that wrote this ever
Yeah.
showed a home,
Right.
ever negotiated a inspection, never
Yeah.
got people.
Someone
out of
designed this for McDonald's.
financial
and now
problems.
They've made it for home real
Yeah,
estate.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of good things about it, but it was just like it was not practical for what we really needed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a perfect, example of when it's like, something started at the top that
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. Got to tie it down to that frontline level.
Right.
Well, let's hit that next piece of advice
Sure.
because I see this one. I love this one.
Yeah. Accountability is huge. Accountability should not be looked at negatively.
Yeah.
It's not micromanagement. It's a different thing. Especially when you go back to the coaching analogy of sports, right? Accountability is what coaches do.
Mhm.
It's did you run your your laps? Did you do your free throws? Did you do what you needed to do in order to get the results you want? And I think way too often we're scared to hold people accountable because we're terrified of the result that we'll get from that. Are they going to quit? Are they going to leave? Right. And it's someone was saying that to another coach that I know. And he said, what if I hold them accountable and they quit? And he said, well, what if you don't and they stay?
Right. That's exactly it.
That's one
I've
of
said
Travis's things. 100%. No
Yeah.
kidding. Exactly. Accountability is huge. I remember in college on drumline, it was the first drumline I was in where you would have, you'd have certain rudiments or techniques or practices or a new, whatever it might be that you had to learn. And you had a certain amount of time to learn it, and you'd come to practice, and it was obviously 6 a.m, which I mean I usually got there in college at 6 a.m, like, oh God. And then be Tharnish, play it. I'd be like, oh man, like you only failed that once, right? Because in the drum line you have 8 people, and it need to look like their sticks are moving exactly the same and sounding exactly the same. And and I remember luckily, because I'm the 1% guy, of course, I was chosen the first day that our instructor decided to do that. I flopped horribly, but never did after that.
Well, and that's in business. We often have someone on our team mess up like that. And we think we're going to hurt their feelings by holding them accountable. What about the other 7 that put in the work?
Yeah.
And what about the end customer, the crowd, the audience, the person that's paying you to do the work? They're the ones suffering from you not holding your team accountable.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's hit that last piece of advice you want to hand off.
Yeah. Everyone wants to grow. No one wants to change. So if you want to change, if you want to grow, it's going to require change. It's going to require a little bit of pain that goes with that. Change is scary. I get it. What we found is there's always resistance to change, and it comes from one of 3 areas. It's either you're not dissatisfied with your current state, you don't have a clear enough vision for where you're going, or you don't know what the first steps are. It's one of those 3 things is the reason we're scared to change.
Say those again.
Yeah, you're either not dissatisfied with where you're currently at. You're okay with where you're at. You don't have any reason to want to change. You're comfortable.
Bingo.
You don't have a clear enough vision for what it could be after the change.
Can't see where you have
not enough direction, or you don't have clear enough first steps. You don't know what the next thing to do is. Those are the 3 areas I see most lack of change coming from.
Makes sense.
So just write those 3 things down and say, which of these is holding me back?
Yeah.
Do I have enough emotion to overcome that difference? Emotion will drive you to do some crazy stuff. Right. So it's how do you use the emotions we have? Is it fear? Is it excitement? Is it hope? What are we trying to build? That's why I like big goals. If we have enough hope for a future, we have enough emotion to move forward. And so we can use that to say, okay, what's holding us back? Let's actually do something about it.
I saw a quote. It fits perfectly here. And it was somebody who was talking with, I think it was Muhammad Ali. And they were asking him like how many sit-ups he did in a day. And he goes, I have no idea. I don't start counting until it hurts.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's your growth. I mean, if you sat down and you did 50 sit-ups, I mean, for me, that'd kill me. But for Muhammad Ali, that's nothing, right? You're not going to grow and change until you start feeling some discomfort, some pain. That's where you're going to get growth.
And I find the best business owners, the ones who grow the fastest, it's not that they have it easy. It's not that they know how. It's that they go to that point of pain faster. They trust themselves not to know what the next step is, but to trust themselves to get through it, to figure out what it is. It's about going through that learning cycle faster, not doing it once.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's excellent.
So true.
Yeah. Those are great takeaways. This is 5 takeaways. I know we have a break coming up, so let's run to that real quick. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Carter Krei from ActionCOACH, and we will have more right after this.
Gary Tharnish.
We're back on Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Carter Krei from ActionCOACH. Let's talk a little bit about success stories.
Yeah.
What are you guys have been in business how long now?
Let's see. As a company, we've been in business for about 10 years.
Okay.
I've been doing it for about 6.
Okay. So you have to have at least one success story.
I have at least one, yes. Yeah. The first one that comes to mind is he's a really good friend of mine. His name is Emmanuel. When I started with him, he was doing, he would clean out rental properties, and he was doing about $1,500 a month in revenue.
Oh, good God.
Doing that. And he was hustling, right?
Yeah, no kidding. That's not an easy thing.
No. And so he sat down with me and he said, I just don't know what I don't know. And so let's start this journey. As we started coaching, about a year later, he hit $1 million in revenue.
Jeez, yeah, I love that story already.
It was so much fun. When people take the coaching, when people listen to it, and I'm not saying everything I say is good. He told me I'm an idiot many times, but when we find ways to apply it to their business, and we can help them implement things that maybe they didn't see before. And so what we found was what he had was not necessarily cleaning out rental houses, because that's not like a high bar, there is, but it was expanding what he did. So he went from cleaning out rental companies to now he brokers labor for general contractors. That was the shift he made. So it's not that I just clean out rental properties. It's that I can do the painting. It's you need benches installed around a factory. I can come and do that. I can come into a jail and I can help install the doors. What is it you need? I have labor that can help you do it. So you have all your subs. What is the stuff the subs aren't touching? I can come in and help. So he
great.
Yeah, he went from him and 2 other people to he has a team of 11 now.
Yeah, he's making money off other people's labor, solving problems for business owners.
Yeah.
It's all perfect.
Yeah, he's working, I think, about half as many hours.
Sure.
And he's at, I think, 1.7 million now.
That's crazy.
Don't quote me on that, but he's having a good time. Now we're trying to figure out how do we scale this thing to that next level. He wants to add a painting branch. He wants to add different service lines. And so I keep working with him, and he brought his son-in-law on to do his estimating, and he wants to bring on his daughter to do real estate. So it's turning into this whole family thing, and it's really changed the course of their family. As we've gone
definitely.
through this. Yeah,
sure.
It's been amazing.
I think about like with what we do, we the team I'm on, we do a lot. One of the things we talk about this year is that we engineer equity.
Yeah.
And that kind of hits people like, well, what do you mean you engineer equity? And a lot of people put their house on the market and sell it for what they can get. When if they can move out, even if it's for a month or two, even if you have some expense to that, and we can go in and renovate. I don't even want to use the word renovate, and I don't like the word flip because that's become just
it's a four-letter word.
Yeah. But we go in and make the house presentable to the market in the best way possible, knowing what buyers are looking for, and it's a great benefit for them. But one of the challenges for us is to find these temporary labor people, like having a guy like Emmanuel that we could go to. I'm going to guess he's in Sioux City.
He'll come to Lincoln if you need some help.
Interesting. So I want his name.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Because there's times that we need that, especially for certain, I mean, we have handymen and stuff, but they might be at 3 other places. Yeah. So that is a great concept. That's a great story.
Yeah. And what we found was the biggest thing for those small businesses. So that's one of the places I've specialized. I help startup businesses scale to that $1 million revenue within a year. It's kind of one of my benchmarks. What I found is it's all looking for cash flow, not customers, and finding a good target market. If you can do those 2 things, the $1 million revenue point is easy to hit. I did it with him. I did it with a medicated weight loss company who went from trying to sell to people who want to lose weight, which is everybody, to looking for farmers' wives 10 to 25 miles outside of the city they were living in. So it was really cool as we started to narrow in on things, how you got to do. And we went from a nice sporty logo to sunsets over cornfields and all of a sudden.
I was trying to figure that out right away.
Yeah.
I was like, so country. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, we were looking for people that would have high referral capacity. That we shipped some of the stuff to them. And so we didn't want to have expedited shipping or expensive shipping. So they couldn't be more than 30 miles out of town. But we didn't want them to be in town because then there were plenty of other options. And so that kind of gave us this band of where we were at. And we were
our target.
Yeah, who lives 5 to 25 miles outside of a small town in the Midwest?
Yeah.
And
farmers' wives.
Isn't it interesting that sometimes when you narrow your focus, you widen your market?
Absolutely.
When it sounds like when you see that on the surface, you go, holy cow, you just cut 80% of your market off. Good.
Yeah. Well, you flip it and you say, how many people can you actually provide high quality service for?
Yeah.
You want to be the best in the industry. Awesome. How many can you conceivably do that for in a week? Everyone wants to say 1 million. No, you can't, right? It's 5, it's 10. How many can you successfully onboard to get the result you want them to have? And then find the target market that fits that. If you can only take on 10 and you have a 50% conversion rate in sales, you only need 20 people a week coming in.
Yeah.
How do you find that target market?
Yeah. It's so interesting. There's so many different things. I had a friend that owns a cleaning company and she's like, I'm getting so frustrated. She goes, I don't know if we're going to do clean outs anymore for realtors or like clean the house right before they go live on their listing. Cause it's just always, there's always a problem or whatever. I go, well, tell me more about that. What do you mean a problem? What it ended up being is that they would go in first off, a realtor would just call and say, hey, we're going live in 2 days. We're having pictures tomorrow. Come clean the house. Yeah. So they go clean. And the realtor's calling up and going, you didn't even clean this, or you didn't clean that, or you didn't whatever. And they're like, the last 12 people didn't want that done. I go, well, why don't you just get a sheet and say, do you want us to clean the gutters? Do you want wipe down the inside of the cupboards? Do you want us to wipe down and they choose from their list. And she says it's 9-day difference. They found a process that worked.
Absolutely.
Now she goes, the other thing that's great is now she has teams that can go and do this because it's just a great little process.
Yeah.
They fill in the blanks, do those jobs. You're done. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool what happens when you can put a good target market in front of good pricing with good systems.
Yeah, and I don't suggest for any listeners that you do this for your spouse. But it does
My
work
wife
good if you
does
have
this
the
for me
business.
all the time. She has a sheet, check
You need-
marks, and everything.
You know, my dad always said, he goes, son, when you get older, he goes, no matter what you do, always leave 2 or 3 things on your to-do list. And I go, what do you mean? Like, don't do them? He goes, yeah, then you won't get a new to-do list so quick. You got to.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me, but anyway, work for him.
So I found the solution. I only do 3 things on the list.
There you go.
That was
I love
the key.
it.
When I moved here, because I'm kind of a handy person.
Yeah.
My dad goes, Travis, whatever you do, don't let on that you know how to do anything, because you'll be doing.
Yeah.
He was right.
Well, and you're good at it, because we were at my house recently we're renovating, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know, like, can I do this? And Travis like, and then 3 or 4 days ago, I can cut that vent out for you. I'm like, oh, dude, you do it all along.
So is there any, do you work with many salespeople? I know you work with executives.
Yeah, we do specific sales training. And the thing I appreciate about it is, when you get to a lot of sales training, it's a lot of like objection handling and how do you get someone into the car kind of thing. I really don't like that kind of sales training. There's plenty of books on that. I think if you're getting objections, you messed up in your targeting. So a lot of what we talk about is how do you build a pipeline full of qualified leads? How do you qualify a lead, and how many times do you get, how many touch points do you have, and how do you get in touch with them? But yeah, we work with salespeople. We work with building out the systems and the welcome packets and the scripts and all that stuff as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sales is so tough, and finding salespeople and managing salespeople and training salespeople. I could see, bringing in a coach to just manage a salesperson, not manage, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Build out a system.
Yeah.
Build out a sales process. And because when you have the system in place, people operate the system. It's not dependent on their ability.
Yeah.
Right. You give them the numbers, you give them the script, and you get the guaranteed results.
Well, and sales equals pipeline.
Exactly.
It's all relational. Right. You have that pipeline set. We talk about all the time in real estate. People are like, how are you getting these? Like, where are these people coming from? And I'm like, well, I send out 2 personal note cards every day. Takes me 20 minutes is all.
Yeah.
And it pays off all the time. You got those touch points. It's personal. You're growing a relationship. Then the sales come,
Yeah. That's Jeb Blunt wrote the book Fanatical Prospecting. It's an incredible book on the sales and the ideas behind how you do that. And he always talks about the work you have now is a result of the work you did 90 days ago. Right.
Exactly.
If you're busy now, keep being busy, because otherwise you're going to be empty in 90 days.
Yep.
And it's hard to get discouraged when you've been in a slump.
Yeah.
And then you come in, you put 30 days, 45 days to it. And then it's like, gosh, this ain't working. Not yet. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And even if it's not working, do something different, but just keep going.
Yeah.
It's the old, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
This is not where you want to stay.
Don't rent an apartment there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we've got another break coming up here, and you're listening to Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. And when we come back, it is time for This Needs an Adjustment, talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach. And we'll be back right after this.
Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
We're back on Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, and it's time for This Needs an Adjustment, sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic down here in Lincoln. This is where we talk about something. In general, we talk to business owners where they've had to make an adjustment.
Sure.
But for you, I want to ask if there's, because you coach a lot of businesses, and you've seen a lot of them who have probably had the same problem.
Yeah.
So what's an adjustment a lot of business owners have that maybe our listeners have this problem and they should be adjusting?
Yeah. One of them I see a lot from all sizes of businesses. It's most evident in the smaller businesses, the 5 million revenue and under ones. But even above that is your pricing models. Pricing models are really important when it comes to, it even changes how you target market, right? I see way too many people setting their prices with the intent of getting a customer instead of getting cash flow. And that crushes small businesses. I think it was Simon Sinek who was talking about how discounting destroys businesses, because all the money from discounting comes out of your profit. It doesn't come out of your costs at all.
Right.
And so you lose tons of money on that. I think it was Mark Cuban was talking about it when he was talking about Shark Tank, and he invested in a company, and to celebrate, they ran a deal, they ran a discount, and they were losing money every time they sold. The company went out of business because of it. people don't understand how pricing affects their bottom line so much.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's way too often we want to be the cheapest in the market. Every time you're the cheapest in the market, that just means it's a race to the bottom, right?
Yep.
You're going to end up homeless as a business owner because you're giving your business away.
Yeah, I tried to do that for a while, and it was like just absolutely ridiculous. And then I just took the mindset. What we would get all the time is like, how much are your moms? Oh, they're this much. Oh, I can get them over at blank, blank, blank for whatever. And I'd be like, oh, well, okay, I consult you. And then finally it'd be like, I can get them over at XYZ place for whatever. And I go, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Period.
See if you can find one that won't die tomorrow.
Were you going to match that? Nope. Our price are this. And
As soon as you start doing that race to the bottom, you're attracting the wrong kind of customer. You're getting the one who will leave as soon as the price is lower elsewhere too.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the key right there.
Right.
You think you're gaining loyalty and you're not at all.
No.
You are gaining somebody that's loyal to the cheapest thing.
Exactly. Well, when we did the marketing for Papa John's, right?
Right.
I mean, there's an industry that you only buy when it's discounted, right? But Papa John's for the longest time, they were the quality guys.
Yeah.
It was taste, it was quality,
Mhm.
and the price. I mean, it was expensive pizza, right? And then all of a sudden they decided we're going to start competing on price. And I was sitting at a national marketing convention. I go, why are people get addicted to free or to cheap, to discounts? Why are we pandering to these people? Because yeah, they're leaving Domino's or they're leaving, Pizza Hut, and they're coming to us because we have a $7 any topping. Yeah. And then as soon as that goes away, they're not going to go, this is good pizza. Let's stick around when it goes back up to $14, $15. No, they left.
Yeah.
They followed the discount to the next guy.
Yeah, they're going to buy cheap wherever.
Exactly. It's a different group. And if you don't think a race to the bottom works, how did Spirit Airlines turn out? How are they doing?
Not great.
That was a race to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
you
where we
see it all the time.
Yeah, it happens way more often than you think. And so we often talk about when you go for the highest in the market and you say, how can I provide as much value as possible? What is everything that the customer needs? How can I give them that? And what would I have to charge in order to make that make sense? What you find is the exact opposite. You're top grading your clients and you're getting the ones that are completely price independent. If you look at the difference between Harvard and a community college, both have a different target market. One of them has been around for a long time because they're really good at saying price is no object. We sell something that is not the same.
When I would have like a big thing, like a wedding, so it's $5,000, $10,000, whatever, it might be $2,000, whatever it was. And then people, when we were done, they get the price, and they'd be like, well, so-and-so can do it for this, or they can do it for that. I'd say, we offer 3 things here. You could have 2 of them, whichever ones you want. We have quality, price, or service. Which 2 do you want?
Yeah.
Well, I want the service and the price. Okay. No, if quality doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it's going to be good. It's going to be alive and really good. I'm not going to focus. It's interesting when you reframe their thought on that. But back on your pizza thing, anybody wanting cheap pizza, they're always going to, you're exactly right. They're just going to go wherever the cheapest pizza is. They could care less, but focusing on quality. There's a Chinese restaurant here in town that I go to, and their prices are probably, I really don't think about it, but a friend of mine looked at the bill and they're like, you can get this over at so-and-so for that and so-and-so for that. And I go, well, do you like it? Man, this is the best I've ever had. And I go, then why for $2 less am I going to drive even further to say, type thing? And it's like, that's a perfect example to me where that company is successful and they'll remain successful because the product they put out is just fantastic and tastes great.
Yeah. And it's with the pizza is a good example, but also sometimes with floral, right? Like you have to decommoditize what you're doing.
Sure.
Way too often people think it's all the same everywhere. And so that was my client that we talked about before who did the move out cleaning.
Right.
Like if that's all you're doing, your price is capped, right? But as soon as it went from providing the actual work to the consultative part of it, of coming in and giving the plan and building it out, when you're talking about that kind of stuff, now you start to add value. When you start to find a unique selling proposition, what you do differently than everybody else that differentiates you. Yeah. That's when you can start to get incredible price, I guess, exclusivity in what you're doing. Yeah. Where you can charge 2-3 times as much as your competitors, but you're not really competitors. You're not doing the same thing.
Yeah. And you're great at getting people to think outside of the box in that situation. Emmanuel was doing apartment cleanouts. You were able to go, I'm guessing, but I would think part of your thought process was probably like, well, if people need rentals cleaned out, they may also need them painted. They may need this, they may need that, and all these other things go with it. And if it's apartment clean out, what about a house clean out? What about, and now look what he's doing now. He's providing all these services for all these needs instead of just the one thing. Like you said, he's capped.
And it came from that standpoint of, let's stop worrying about market share. What percentage of all the customers are coming to you? Let's worry about wallet share. What percentage of money spent by your customers is coming to you, right? Is there something else that they're spending a lot of money on that's tangential to what you're doing? Can we just rope that into what we do and capture that part of the market as well? As soon as we start looking at that, when we look at market share, it's a great metric for large businesses. It's very hard to control as a small business. And I want to worry about things that I have in agency over. That's wallet share.
I love that. That's the catchphrase of this show.
Yes.
Don't focus on market share, focus on wallet share.
Well, even if you're a big business, if you captured 100% of the market, could you handle it?
No.
There's no way. I mean, you think of the biggest business you own, McDonald's or Southwest Airlines or whatever it is. Could you even service 50% of the market? There's no way. So why use that as a metric?
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've noticed when we had some low end cost points for people to come in, and when we stopped doing that, those really cost point people were not our best customers anyway.
Yeah. What we've found is we use those low cost in areas for your business. Really stop looking at it as a product line. Look at it as a marketing stream, right? They're paying to become a lead. It's not that they're there to become your number one client. It's they're there to identify, does this person fit with the rest of my business? Does this person fit? So when we're talking about doing the move out cleanings for Emmanuel, right? We were talking to, what other subs do you have coming in on this? His biggest lead source is talking to other subs who are bidding on stuff and saying, hey, if there's stuff on there you don't want to do, come talk to us.
Nice.
Right? So his low cash flow, low profitability areas of his business became lead generators for him.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's smart.
That's what a coach can do for your business.
Yeah. That's
starting with your
exactly
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it comes back again to mindset so often.
Yep.
And I think also a coach will take a lot of the fear of, gosh, if I cut this product, boy, I'm going to lose 20% of my business.
Yeah.
You might, but it might be 20% worth losing.
Yeah. And, or at the very least, you have fear about that. Great. Let's talk about it. What would that look like if you lost your 20% of your revenue that only has a 10% profit margin, and you put that same amount of time, 30% of your time, into this other service line? What do you think would happen? What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, you're out 10% of your profit.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, what could happen? Are we willing to test and measure this?
See, and we found, like within our business, our low cost product, it was probably about 15 to 20% of our revenue, but it was about 40% of our employees and time.
Yep. I was just going to mention that. And that is so true all of the time. We did one thing our coach helped us with. And if you're a business right now thinking about, do I hire a coach? Can I afford a coach? That's where I was like, can I afford a coach? When after my first year, I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't afford not to have a coach at the end of the day. But the changes that were made paid 10 times fold what that coach expense was.
Yeah.
And I think I would imagine you see that a lot, probably coming from me. I mean, it's your business, so it might be easy to say, but honestly, I mean, Travis, you and I both have coaches in our business and know the benefit of that, but it's hard to see that sometimes, you know, because you're like, I got to give it,
and,
you know,
and I know we have a break coming up. So I want to get into that when we come back is about entry level, some costs, some starting. Let's talk about that after the break. This needs an adjustment. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharder, talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach, and we're going to talk about getting a coach right after this.
Filing and Gary Tharnish.
We're back for the last segment. Man, this one whizzed by, didn't it?
It did. Yeah.
It just whizzed by. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach. And let's talk about that entry point for people who think, maybe I should make a call. Doesn't cost anything to call.
Nope.
And you get them a session, right?
We just actually moved it up. What we found out was we had a lot of people coming to us for a free session that would then sign up for coaching, and they weren't good prospects for us. So we started doing this. We do 2 free weeks of coaching for anyone who signed, anyone who wants.
Wow.
Okay, say that again.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to sit down with us and grab coffee, we'll have a meeting and we'll just talk and see if it makes sense. Does it make sense for you to be a client for us? Does it make sense for us to help you? And if we both agree, let's do 2 free weeks of coaching. I don't want a honeymoon period. I don't want it where we start coaching and then 3 weeks later you go, oh, we solved the problem. Thanks. Bye. Right. That's
right. That's not a good business model.
Yeah.
For
wasted
you,
all my
right?
time. Right. And so what we started doing is everybody gets 2 free weeks of coaching where we come
That
in.
is very intelligent.
Yeah. And then, well, the other reason for that is with our upper level programs, we guarantee results. We'll guarantee a return on investment of coaching. And so I need a couple weeks to figure out, are you the kind of person that's going to do your half of that?
Bingo.
Yeah.
So true.
So
that is so true.
Yeah. So what we found is by doing this, we end up with clients who stay longer, get better results, and we have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. So that's kind of the idea. If you want, we can do 2 free weeks of coaching for anyone who calls in.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Okay, how do we get a hold of Action Coaching and whichever is it actioncoach.web
Yeah.
or what's your
Yeah.
your URL?
So it's ExcelEdge.actioncoach.com. So the name of our business is ExcelEdge, spelled out like
okay.
Excel, like the
Okay.
app, Edge, EDGE, .actioncoach.com. So that's our
Okay.
website. You can sign up on there. Yeah, Google Carter Krei, Krei, and Action Coach. I'll come up. You
Yeah.
can click on that and
We'll make it even easier. Go to InsideBusinessRadio.com and we will put a link from our website to your website.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that our webpage?
That's
Okay,
our
I'm just kidding.
webpage. We actually have a webpage now.
Really?
I know. I go there.
yeah,
love it.
and so we'll just grab coffee,
Yeah.
jump on a Zoom call, whatever works for you, and just do a quick introduction. And if we both say, you know what, maybe we should look at what 2 free weeks of coaching would look like, we'll move forward. We'll sit down. We'll talk about. So typically, just so we're on the same page, we start with a questionnaire of like, just so we're not starting on ground zero. What are the top 5 challenges you're working on in your business?
Yeah.
You know, if you're comfortable with it, you can bring a profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statements. You don't have to.
Yeah,
some
sure,
people
at the
don't like doing
beginning,
that, but
yeah.
if you want to, I'm more than willing to take a peek at that. I look at probably 60 or 70 of those a week. So I got some insights on, what to look for. I have a team of coaches that do the same. So you might end up with one of them, but we look at that. We start looking at what's your big picture? What's your dream? What's your vision? What's the end goal of starting this business? Because our goal is to get you past profitable. Our goal is to get you to passive income. Now what? Right. And so we start working at all that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, business owners kind of need to get their heads around sharing numbers.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first coach we had, he's like, let me see your books. What's your numbers? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to share that. And it's like, dude, I'm on your team. I don't care if you're making $1,000 a year or $10 million a year. It makes me no difference. I need to know these numbers to help you extract more of that for yourself.
Or to get from A to B.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I love the idea of the 2 weeks though, because you have more skin in the game than just money, right?
Yeah.
Because money's not going to do it. You got to have the activity. You got to be doing the
Yeah.
action steps. You got to be taking the advice of the coach and putting it in practice. In 2 weeks, you could see that. The
Yeah.
accountability, it's going to
Yeah.
happen or not. Yeah.
Yeah. On that second week, if you come back on, I didn't really do anything. I didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was just thinking like in drumline, when you had to work to get on drumline,
Yeah.
there were 25 people wanting 10 snare drum spots.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of band camp where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you go through the whole day. It's 105 degrees out. You're tired. You're sweating. And it's like, okay, here's 6 sheets of rudiments. I want you to come. You need to come in tomorrow and know all of these or whatever. And you're just like, are you kidding? And if you wanted on it, you came in and you knew them.
There's
Period.
15 people ready to take your place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
And
it,
there's a
don't
lot,
do
and
it.
there's a lot involved in that. And that, that's how we did that out so that you knew. That'd be the same thing in business, right? I think that would be one of the, I remember one time when Tam had to say, when she said, you could continue wasting your money if you want, but you're either going to work on this or you're not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, yes, no, I want to. You're right. It's like, yeah, I have to do that. And it was just a matter of, again, change, habit, creating that. And for me at the time, it was the same thing. It was an hour a day. And, she goes, I prefer you do it at work sometime, figure out when is your least busy time, customers or design or whatever. And we found that hour and it did make a difference. And I was actually able to focus on that hour and just tell everybody, hey, I'm not available for a call.
Yeah.
Period. Whereas before I thought, I got to take a call every time it comes in. Can't miss a call.
And you think that'll be catastrophic when you implement
Yeah, I did. You're right.
It
Yeah.
makes
I would have
everything
looked at
better.
you, Carter, and went, yeah, you know everything because you never did this business. Yeah. Sure.
Yep.
I'd like to be a coach. How easy.
I think it was
You ever
actually
get that?
I do.
I think it was Brianne from Action Coach. We had her in.
Yeah.
She goes,
Oh, she was
there
great.
there are no, like, whatever business it, there are no floral emergencies. There are no emergencies
Yes.
that you have to pick up
Yeah.
your
What
phone.
business? It was the blow up balloon, the kids' toy things. What are those
Yes.
called? Inflatables.
Yeah.
Yes.
She goes, there are no inflatable emergencies. And I was like, oh man, I needed to hear that like 1,000 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every
1,000
year for
times
the
over.
last 26 years, I could have used that,
Yeah.
but it stuck with me because it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you do get into this. I'm talking with my wife on the phone and a call comes in. It's like, I got to take this. I got to go.
Mhm.
You know what? No, I don't. I can take this when I have time.
Well, and also it's that idea of what are your priorities?
Mhm.
You know, I had a client who called me the other day and said, I didn't get my homework done. The answer is not always like, oh, well, that's shame on you. It's, well, what happened?
Yeah,
You know?
right. Investigate a little bit.
Yeah. Kid fell and broke his arm, had to go to the emergency room.
Okay, understand.
Okay. Yeah. Priorities. We started this business so that we could build a life we want with our family.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault you. You know, the other person didn't do their homework because they went to the lake with their family. Also not going to fault you for that. That was your goal. That's what you wanted to do, is spend more time at the lake with your family. Sweet. So where are we going to put that time on this week?
Yeah. One thing I did for design for me and my business, which was highly, I mean, we manufactured everything we made. It made our business very unique.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't just have widgets, get them in, put them on a shelf. And so one thing that helped me a lot is like, I would go to an event or whatever and be setting it up and they'd be like, oh my God, you do the best work. Like, this is so cool. Then I go, well, actually Amanda did all of this.
Yeah.
She's great. She's over there, you know, and they'd be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's still your shop. Yeah. But Amanda did all the work. Once I started doing that, people felt a lot more comfortable to say, you know, they call, hey, is Gary or Amanda in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like, choose Amanda.
Yeah.
Please. I'm begging
But
you.
I mean, it
need some
worked.
time.
This has been really enjoyable.
Yeah,
Carter.
it has.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
I wish
it.
you all
It
the
has.
success in the world. If you're listening and thinking about getting a coach, take that step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the webpage was ExcelEdge.actioncoach.com.
.actioncoach.com.
Or
Perfect.
they are one of our sponsors. So
Yeah.
you can
Inside-
go to InsideBusinessRadio.com and click the link. They're going to be in our newsletters.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And this, again, this is what I love about what we do is we bring on sponsors that we believe in. So
Yeah,
we
definitely.
don't just bring in any sponsor. These are things that we think business owners should do because it's going to help your business move further down the road. We do it. You've done it. You obviously do it for a living.
Yes,
so,
sir.
well, thanks for coming in. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis File and Gary Tharnish. We've been talking with Carter Krei from Action Coach, and we will see you guys next week.